We've got roughly 20 games left. Just had the NHL trade deadline on Friday at 3 p.m. Perhaps the most exciting time of the hockey calendar aside from the playoffs. Let's break it all down. We're dropping the puck in the NHL trade deadline. Welcome back to the Kenny C Show. I am Kenny C. My hockey fans, subscribe to this channel because we are going to keep this content coming as soon as you start to see teams clinching playoff spots. We're talking pucks. Get in here, subscribe to the channel. I want thoughts. NHL trade deadline, what'd you guys think? I'm going to give you guys my letter grades for a multitude of teams. By this deadline, we had a lot of moves. I want to know who made the best moves, who made the worst moves, which GM got the biggest fleece job, which team needed to do more, which team should have done a little less. Let's get into it. The Islanders. My Islander fans, Brock Nelson, 12 years on Long Island, 5th most goals by a New York Islander in franchise history, 901 games. Who would have thought that his last game against the Winnipeg Jets, one of the best teams in the NHL, if not the best, the Islanders would come away with a win, and Brock would score 2 in what would be his final game. He was obviously emotional with Shannon Hogan. We knew that this was probably inevitable. Lou Lamoriello, we knew he was trying to get some sort of deal worked out with Nelson. Apparently, it was a 3-year deal, 7 to 8 annually. Brock wasn't going for that, so all right, you got to separate emotions from business, and that's what the Islanders did. And what do they do? I love Brock Nelson, by the way. I will deeply, deeply miss Brocktober. Now he rocks number 11, I believe, with the Colorado Avalanche. And Brock Nelson, 33 years old, him and William DeFore, who's 23. Guy had some skating issues. He probably wasn't going to see much ice time with the Islanders. And Bridgeport is a dumpster fire. They were struggling, so they packaged both Brock and DeFore in a deal to Colorado for a 2026 or a 2027 first-round pick, a third-round pick in, I believe, 2026 or 2027 if the Avalanche win the Stanley Cup and if Brock Nelson plays 50% of the games. And Callum Ritchie, this is a part of the deal where I say, okay, Lou knew what he was doing. You got the potential future face of the New York Islanders, a kid that's 20 years old, a 2023 first-round pick by the Avalanche, their top prospect. He spent the last 4 years in the OHL for the Oshawa Generals, the same team that obviously John Tavares played for. But this guy is 6'2", 190 pounds. He could be an elite centerman. At the very best, from reports that I was reading, this guy is a second-line level centerman. He's got elite vision, elite IQ. He throws the body on both ends of the ice. He's sound defensively. He's got 1 goal in 7 games. He came up earlier when the Avalanche ran into some injury troubles earlier this year. Ironically, that 1 goal was against Ilya Sorokin. Well, now he joined Sorokin's team, 251 points in 215 games. This kid is something special, and I am very excited for Callum Ritchie, who is NHL ready. Clearly, he's already gotten some NHL burn. So I'm excited for it. I love Brock Nelson. With the Islanders overall, with this trade, I'm going to give it a B+. I thought Lou got a really good return for a guy that's a rental, a guy that now joins a Stanley Cup caliber team in the Colorado Avalanche who want to win another Stanley Cup. Obviously, they're in 4th place or tied for 3rd technically with the Wild in the Central at 76 points. They needed that star caliber second line centerman, I should say, and that's what they got. You pair him with Nichushkinen and with Druin, you got something real special. You got a bona fide goal scorer, 20 goals on the season. He's had 30 plus the last 3 years. Absolutely love Brock. Here's where I kind of scratch my head, and I wonder if Ledecky and Malkin are also scratching their heads at why Lou Lamoriello didn't try to go the extra mile and also dish Kyle Palmieri. He's having a great season. He's having a 20-goal, 21-assist caliber season. He's 34 years old. He's a year older than even Brock. Why would we not move Kyle Palmieri? Jean-Gabriel Pageau, 32 years old. He's having a so-so year, 11 goals, 19 assists, to put it very, very nicely. I thought we should move Pageau. I mean, he's aging. So is Anders Lee, the captain. I love the guy. But he's 34 years old. He's having probably the best season that he's had since the 40-goal season. 23 goals, 20 assists. Sell high on these guys, man. I don't understand it. I would have also shipped out Noah Dobson. who I think is, as more games are played, he's kind of losing value. I think we could have gotten maybe a first rounder, definitely a second rounder for Noah Dobson. I don't want to give him a 7 to 8 year deal. The Islanders, I thought Lou needed to do more to decrease the age of this team with guys that are right about to be, they're already past their primes, but right about to be on that doorstep of like, all right, it's time to hang it up. So I thought Lou could have done more there. He didn't, but you got to tip your hat to McDonald and the Avalanche, because they went out and they made some moves. I'm going to give the Avalanche an A for the trade because they got back a sharpshooting sniper in Brock Nelson that adds to their depth and makes them primed and ready to win now. But I tip my cap to McDonald and company because earlier this month, they shipped away Mikko Rantanen and got Jack Drury and first-line right winger Marty Necas in the process. They also went out with the Boston Bruins and they get a guy in Charlie Coyle who's 33 years old, who brings 119 playoff games of experience under his belt, and you throw him in the mix. That trade, they shipped away Casey Middlestat, and they got back Coyle, a 2026 fifth-round pick, and they also gave the Bruins one of their prospects in William Zellers and a 2025 second-round pick. So I thought the Avalanche did a really good job at this deadline. Avs fans, I want to hear from you guys if you're watching. Let me know how you think your team did, and let me know how far you think this team can go. The Boston Bruins, who would have thought that they would be the biggest sellers at this deadline? They also got rid of Brandon Carlo, who's a veteran, physical guy that the Maple Leafs now add to their blue line as they try to make a deep run in the playoffs. I thought that was a really good move by Toronto. Brad Marchand, the Rat. This was a stunner. About 10 minutes to go until the deadline was at its end at 3 p.m., and they shock everybody, just like the Golden Knights, who were one of the quietest teams at this deadline, funny enough, just like they did last year with Thomas Hertl. That's what the Florida Panthers do. They added Brad Marchand, and in return, the Bruins get a 2027 conditional first-round pick. It turns into a first-round pick from a second-round pick if the Panthers win the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, and Marchand plays 50% of the time. He's 36 years old. He spent his entire career as a B. It was time for him to go, and if you're Bruins fans, I have one friend that's a Bruins fan, and he told me, look, we got to get something back from Marchand because we're not gonna give him a contract extension once his deal is up. Like, that's not going to happen. So now you look at that Panthers team, you got Sam Bennett, and when Matthew Tkachuk gets back off of long-term IR, you got a line of Bennett, Marchand, and Tkachuk, which is funny as hell because both Bennett and Tkachuk really disliked playing against Brad Marchand. Marchand was injured, actually, by Sam Bennett last year in the playoffs. Tkachuk has ladled a big hit on Marchand before. These are guys that did not get along at all when facing each other, but now as a formidable line, once Tkachuk is back, look out, because that's a tenacious line that forechecks hard, and they are in your face. They are hard-hitting, and they are a great two-way line collectively. So I thought that was a really good move by the Panthers. For the Bruins, I'll give them a C+. They got some cap space. They got rid of Trent Frederick. They got rid of Carlo, as I mentioned. They got rid of Marchand. So they're clearly saying, we're waving the white flag. I know we're right there in the playoff race. We got 64 points. Ottawa's got 67 with the second wildcard spot. But the Bruins probably figure, we got guys that are aging. We want to get back some cap space, and we want to get back a prospect in the process. And that's what they actually got as well in that trade with, I believe, we can pull it up here if you check this out right now. In the Carlo trade, as you see here, they got back top prospect Fraser Minton in that Carlo trade with Toronto. So they added some youth. They freed up some cap space. I'll give them a C+. For the Panthers, I'm going to give them an A- here because you brought in Brad Marchand, who scored 20 goals in each of the last 12 seasons. He's got 21 this year. I thought that this was an all-in move for the defending Stanley Cup champions who want to be right back in the mix. And now finally, to cap off this video for you guys, the last big trade and probably the biggest trade. Mikko Rantanen was the most highly touted guy on the trade block, and the Dallas Stars say, look, we haven't won the cup since 1999. We want to win another Stanley Cup. We're tired of getting bounced in the conference finals. Let's bring in Mikko Rantanen and sign him for $12 million annually for 8 years. He's a $500,000 annually shy of Connor McDavid, making Connor McDavid money. Mikko Rantanen, though, a top-line player, and he's going to slot in really well with Jason Robertson and Roope Hintz. That line, that first line, is going to be a force to be reckoned with. Mikko Rantanen, 2 goals and 4 assists in just 13 games in Carolina. Clearly wasn't the best fit there. He had 64 points in 49 games, the first 49 games with the Colorado Avalanche. This is a guy who, when the Avs won the Cup in 2022, had 100-plus points. This is a guy who is more than capable of making a big impact for this team. I'm going to give Dallas a B+ for the trade because clearly they're all in. But they give up a pretty penny, and that's why I'm going to give Carolina an A, because right now they're still contending for the top spot in the Metro while also getting a lot of future considerations to further build the youth on their team. A 2026 first rounder, a 2026 third rounder, a 2027 third rounder, and a 2028 first rounder. They also get Logan Stankoven, who's a second round pick in 2021. And this guy has 9 goals and 29 points in 59 games. He's only 22 years old. He is a budding talent in this league, and they get a really good player in Logan Stankoven and a plethora of picks. So that's why I'm going to give Carolina an A. I want to know your guys' thoughts on any and all moves from this trade deadline. That one to me, the Brad Marchand to me, was by far the most surprising and shocking trade. I knew that he was probably going to get dealt, but I did not think that the Florida Panthers would be the ones to do it. And in fact, they did, and shocked me. And Brock Nelson, I love you. Comment in the comment section below. All my hockey fans and Islander fans, I want to know your thoughts.